Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome back. Neil finally made it back for a show for once after being absent all week last
Why do
week.
you say it like I didn't want to be on for the last couple episodes? Saying it like I didn't care.
I'm just pulling your strings.
Suck. Yeah.
So we had a guest on Thursday last week. Raj was awesome to have him on. He's from Into the Flames. And now we have a brand new guest as well, too, for this week. We have Stef all the way out from where Neil lives in Newark. Newark? No? Close?
I'm from New York.
Close enough.
Yeah,
I got the
close
state
enough,
right.
Dude,
honestly.
and I'm like an hour plus from Newark. Like, well done, Kyle.
I got the
Well,
state right, okay? Come on.
No, you didn't.
gotta give me credit for
not
that.
with Steph. Steph's from New York. It's the wrong state.
Well,
Shut up.
still New York State, whatever. I'm still kind of right.
Oh, sure.
Anyway.
This also just proves how Canadian Kyle is. Just
No,
proves
I'm
it.
not. No, I'm not. I'm absolutely not. But I appreciate you coming on and taking the time. I figure we'll kind of just roll through. We had our live stream last week on the THPN channel for the game against the Hurricanes, which was so much fun because it was so late and I was up till 1 a.m. and that wasn't fun. And then so we had Saturday's game happen with the Jets. Figure we'll roll through that. Do our little ad read spot, and then we'll talk to Steph a bit more. Sound good?
Sounds great.
Amazing. Love it.
I'm here.
Neil's just chilling.
I'm here. I'm here
Cool.
for a good time. That's
cool.
my response.
Let's do it. So first, we'll kind of do a quick recap of Saturday. So Flames drop 1-5 down 5-3 to the Jets. Jets stay undefeated, shockingly, which is crazy. And then Flames drop one there. Bit of a controversial end to it. I'll get you guys' thoughts on it in a sec, but overall, I mean, just my quick thoughts on it real quick. I thought Wolf was very good that game. I mean, it sucks because they were in it in that game. It really felt like they were in it on that one compared to what they were against the Hurricanes a couple of nights ago. So little disappointing there. The Rasmus Anderson stare down is my favorite out of all the celebrations in the NHL. It's amazing. But if you go down to the stats there, it's just again, this is another category where I think it was now the 7th game in a row where they've been outshot now 35-29. So kind of brutal, but again, with the Jets, it's your usual suspects here with Ehlers and Connor getting the goals early on. So bit of a tough way to go down, especially when you're in it the entire game. But let's start with our new guest here. Let's start with Stef. Don't know if you got a chance to see the game much or if you saw highlights or just kind of based off what you're seeing on here. Any thoughts on what happened with the Flames on Saturday?
Yeah, so I didn't get to watch much because World Series going on. But that power play has to get going. I don't know. It's starting to get really painful to watch.
I think it's 0-for-18 now after the last 3 or 4 games. It's bad.
Yeah, it's almost to the point where I'm like, let's bring in some football rules. Let's start declining penalties because
get the flag out.
Yeah. It's almost getting unbearable to watch.
Yeah, it's a little tough to watch in that department. And I guess with Huska, he was saying that with Sharangovich when he came back on Saturday, I had a quote here I wanted to bring up that he said. He's like, I do feel like at times there's a little bit of trying to do too much on your own. And it was tough when Sharangovich came in because he felt like there was a little bit of disconnect or disjointed within the lineup. So Neil, you're kind of our Sharangovich guy from the Devils side of things. So what did you make of just hearing that? Do you think it really affected them on Saturday with Sharangovich being in the lineup?
I think yes and no, because, obviously you see what the Flames did earlier in the year when Sharangovich was out. The chemistry's starting to build just overall. And Sharangovich coming back into the lineup, he's trying to find his place, trying to find a consistent route. And I think Sharangovich just trying to get a little bit more used to what Huska wants and just trying to get himself going. And I think that's what you saw, a little bit of Sharangovich not really sure where his place is. And that's not really a knock on him. I think it's more of he's been out, he's been hurt, and now he's back in the lineup. The Flames know what he can bring. You're coming off of a really successful first year in Calgary after being traded the previous year to the Flames. And you're trying to come in after being hurt and trying to make an impact right away. on a Flames team that is surprisingly, right there with a lot of the top teams in the Western Conference right now, and been one of the early surprises in the NHL. But I think the power play, I think as a whole, and we talked about this not last week, the week before when I was here, that the biggest thing that I have when it comes to power play is that there's just way too much overthinking going on with a lot of teams. It's just about, you have a man advantage. There's no excuse that you shouldn't be averaging 4 or 5 shots of power play. Like they're
Right.
just, and you need to be firing the puck on net. There's too much passing going on. I think there's too much passive mindset. I don't know if that's coming from just the players themselves or if it's maybe the coaching or maybe just straight up overthinking. But a lot of the time when you're struggling as bad as the Flames are on the power play, all it takes is one little bounce and you're gonna get going. And sometimes you just need a weird goal. You need it to hit off of someone's skate, redirect in. You need it to hit off the top of the post and go in. You need something. You need a grimy goal. You need something to get the power play going. And once the Flames get one, they'll start to find their rhythm more. And Sharon Govich, you could say the same thing. Once he gets one and once he finds his legitimate spot, he'll be fine. And that's the way that I see it. So again, like it's nothing to totally, go, start panicking about, but it is frustrating. 0 of 18 is not the way you want to start. And, it reminds me of a couple of years ago, I think it was in the COVID shortened year. So it was 2021. I think the Devils started the year 0 of 21 or 0 of 25 on the power play. It was a joke.
Yeah.
They were not scoring on it. And eventually, once they got one, they started to find openings. And that's really what it is. It's just about finding an opening. And hopefully they could do that tonight against Vegas.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough building to win in, though, right? But yeah, you're right. Like, it's sometimes you go through these tough stretches. And I think we kind of expected it a little bit with this team because you wanted to find out who your goal scorers were, where they were going to come from, like on the power play especially, right? So maybe I'll kind of direct this to Stef a little bit. So like in terms of trying to fix the power play, like is there an ideal unit that you want to see out there maybe to try and fix it and get things going a little bit?
I think I wouldn't say like an ideal unit, but
or something to play around with.
Yeah, I feel like the young guys, obviously like Zary. Even I know we just sent Coronado down, but first of all, I think that was a mistake. But
yeah, we kind of raked on him a little bit. Felt bad when he got moved down. So anyway.
Yeah, just like an injection of youth. Maybe like a net front guy. Like maybe I don't know. I mean, nothing's working, so throw Klapka out there in front of the net. I don't know. Anything
true.
at this point, yeah. So maybe like a net front presence guy, like I don't know.
Something. I mean, it would help if Klapka could, like, it'd be nice to see him on that second unit, and you just like they're just gonna tell him like, hey, here's what you're gonna do. Your 6'8" ass is gonna stand in front of that net, and you're not gonna move. Yeah, like again, like we kind of raked on him a little bit for Coronado, and it sucks that he got sent down. I think me and Raja talked about it last week, where we envisioned that it was going to be Hanzik going down because he just needed time to develop. And I think me and Neil, we talked about it a little bit too, where he just really wasn't all there, I guess, these first couple of games, especially being on that top line. So it was like, was it shocking for you when you heard that Coronado got sent down?
Yeah, because Coronado at least has some experience playing in the NHL right now. Hanzik doesn't. And Coronado, we need to see more of him now than we need to see Hanzik right now. And we talked about it before, where I think Hanzik I think Hanzik eventually does get sent down at some point. I just don't know when. I was surprised it was Coronado, and I think that I would make an argument. You wonder if that might have been the last like legitimate shot that Coronado's going to get. Like, I don't want to, again, it's still early in the year, but to get sent down over a guy like Hanzik, who, he had a really good preseason, but since the season started and he got top line minutes and wasn't doing anything, you kind of wonder if it was, if it was time. And I think, for we know, Hanzik was probably surprised by it too. And I'm sure Coronado was definitely surprised, but also with Coronado, like, it's kind of up and down. You know what I mean? Like sometimes we have, like, you go back, like 2 weeks ago, he had that 2-goal game.
Yeah.
He looked really good. We were talking about it. And now he hasn't really been doing a whole lot. Like it wasn't wild about it. Let's put it that way. I wasn't wild about it. I still am not thrilled about it. And I still think Hanzik needs more growth.
Development. Yeah.
Yeah. Development in the AHL. But I mean, I guess we'll see what happens. And going back to the power play thing, here's the thing with me. Like, I like the idea of having Klapka in front. Why not stick Kevin Ball in front as well? Like, I'm being honest. Like, I know he's a defenseman, but the dude is also 6'8", 6'7".
It's a bit of a stretch, but okay.
Okay, I mean, and I'm not saying both at the same time.
No. Like, but for a defenseman to stand there in front of that, he's already doing that.
I mean, Steph brought it up. You have nothing to lose.
True.
You literally have nothing to lose because nothing else you've worked. Sometimes the illogical thing is the right thing to do. Sometimes. Yes, you can clip that. Kyle, if you want to clip that for later, you can.
Just gonna
that's the way I look at it, but like it's truly just like trying anything, right?
Yeah.
It's just like trying anything to get a goal. And that's why I was saying, like, sometimes you just need to get a greasy, grimy goal in front where guys are whacking at it and it just like trickles in for you to finally get something going on the power play. And the Vegas Golden Knights penalty kill hasn't been all that good in the first couple of games. So I would argue that what?
Way to ruin it now.
Okay. Well, it's reverse psychology. Okay, fine. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I will say, to kind of counteract that, they also don't take a lot of penalties either. So the opportunities may come few and far between. But I think overall, like, it's just trying something. It's trying anything. Because eventually something's going to work. Because no team's going to go 0 forever on the power play in an 82-game season. It's just not going to happen. So,
just like what we said with the, them being undefeated for that little stretch too. And they're like, oh, they can't go 82-0. It's like, well,
yeah, they can't go 82-0. They can't go 82-0.
Yeah, like last thing, like going back to like Coronado, it's like statistically, he was on that fourth line there with Kirkland and Lomberg, and that was like the best fourth line or one of the best fourth lines in the NHL up to that point. So yeah, it's a little disappointing to see him go down there. And I mean, it's probably not the end for him because things happen throughout the year, knock on wood, injuries, right? But I imagine he's going to get a point to come back up. And, same thing with Peltier and apparently Rory Kearns, who's doing well in the AHL for some reason. So, yeah, like I imagine he'll get a chance to come up. It does suck, but at least you have the capabilities to do it. I think it would have been brutal if, like, we could have been sitting here today when Peltier got sent down and he had to go through waivers and no one claimed him. Vegas claiming Schwimp. Don't know why, but, we could be having a different conversation today because of that. So, yeah. So I got the lineups for tonight. We can talk about Vegas afterwards, but I figure I'll do these ad reads real quick, and then we'll roll into Stef's story time. Cool. Okay. The quest for the Stanley Cup starts now. The puck's dropping on the 2024-25 season. Get on all the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. You can go to DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bet. And if you're new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. And download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. Again, that's code THPN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. And also sponsored by Game Time. I know that Neil's been using Game Time for going to Devils games this year.
I used it last night.
He used it last night. Maybe Steph can start using it soon. Maybe, just saying. I know I'll be using it soon when I go to a Flames game in February. Super excited about that. But Game Time's just great because it just gives me the chance to kind of view the seats. I get a good panoramic view of my seats before I buy them, and I know exactly where I'm sitting before that. So Game Time Picks is a new feature that they have where it filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. It's also including all-in pricing. You can toggle these features to show the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. You get the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. And you get Game Time ticket coverage, which allows you to be the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code THPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code THPN for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it?
It's game time.
Yay. All right. Roll through that. And now I get to
Also,
sit back.
Kyle, are you wearing a Florida Everblades sweatshirt? Like, what are you wearing today?
So this was a university sweater.
Of course it was. Oh, that's copyright.
No, because like we were so.
You ever seen the Florida Everblades logo, Kyle?
Yeah, I know what you're talking. I know the logo.
It's identical. That's the identical one.
Yeah, well, we used it. Okay, it was for school, and we did it because everybody had a floor, and everybody had a floor team name. We were like, we were the Gators, and they just decided to print that off. It's not my choice. I don't care. We were the B3rd Gators, if anybody's wondering. Okay.
No one asked.
Anyway,
no one actually asked.
You actually going to put in a copyright claim. But yeah, so I'm very intrigued now because I know Neil knows a bit about the story, I guess, but I wanted Stef to come on here and just kind of talk about the connection, I guess, that you have with Kevin Rooney here.
See the jersey in the back?
I do see it. It's great. I love it.
Right in the back.
Yeah, so I'll let you take the floor. So my understanding was that you went recently out to Alberta to see him because I guess, and again, you can tell me if I'm wrong or not, just that he invited you out there. But why don't you kind of tell us the story of how it all started and then your trip out there and then how it all went?
Let's see, how much time do you guys have?
We've only been live for 17 minutes. We're actually doing great on time.
we got lots of time.
You actually have a lot of time if you want.
So there's a lot of lore that goes into
Love it. I love the lore.
So I guess I'll start from the beginning. So back in like 2018 when the Devils were having like 50-point seasons, really bad, going to games for like $5, you know.
For $1.
Me and my friends would go to like every game. We would buy like the $3 tickets and then we'd sneak down to the lower bowl, you know. And we would make signs and go down to warm-ups. And my thing was I love to make signs for like the third, fourth liners because everyone has Taylor Hall was on the team at that time. Everyone has signs for him. Everyone had signs for, you know, Nico. I was like, I want to make some signs for these like nobodies essentially. And I met Kevin at a season ticket member signing because my favorite player was Taylor Hall, and coincidentally they had sat him at the same table as Taylor Hall. And I brought my Nate Bastian, another fourth liner. I brought my Nate Bastian jersey, to get signed, and he complimented my jersey. He was like, "Oh, I love that," because they were teammates in the AHL. He's like, "Oh, I love that! Like, such a sick jersey." So I said, "You know what? I'm gonna make him a sign. He's a cool guy. He's nice, you know." And then he got like sent down the next day, which was really funny.
Of course.
And then they called him back up, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna make a sign. And I've never asked for a stick before. I'm gonna ask for a stick. So I made a stupid sign. I don't know what it said. Like, I think I rhymed his name with something. I don't know. And he gave me a stick. And then the same game, he scored his first NHL goal. So I was like, all right, I'm going to make this a thing now. So for the rest of the season, I would make him like stupid signs. Like one time I made one that said like best things to come out of Massachusetts. And I put him at number 1, and then I put like Duncan at number 2. So like stupid signs like that.
Sure.
And then another thing me and my friends used to do back then, we used to wait outside after the game to meet the players. So he would always stop because, again, he's like a nice guy. He'd always stop. He'd say hi, you know. So we just kind of developed like a friendship that way. And then the next season was the COVID shortened season. That's how it started on the Devils.
So I guess it kind of like, was there like a setback then when COVID happened? Like, oh, like can't go to these games anymore, can't make any of these signs. So was there some sort of setback?
Yeah, so in January 2020, this is actually to go back a little bit. So if you guys saw that long post I posted on Twitter like recently about like the stalking thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
yeah.
I did,
Got it right
Don't worry
now.
about it.
Looking at it right
I
now.
saw.
So we don't have to get into like that whole thing, but kind of going along with it is I had like unfollowed him on Instagram because I was like, you know what, like I'm just gonna make everyone think that like I'm done with him, whatever.
Sure.
And then he had gone private on Instagram, so I was like,
Makes
oh
sense.
shoot. So one of the nights he like stopped after the game, and I said, hey. This is so embarrassing thinking back. I was like 18. I was a freshman in college, like whatever.
All good.
So I was like, hey, you know, I unfollowed you on Instagram because he knew about like the stuff that was going on, like the stalking stuff, whatever. I was like, I requested you on Instagram, like if you could just accept my follow request, like that would be cool, whatever. And so he accepted it, and then he followed me back on Instagram. So
Love it.
yeah, so when there was all that uncertainty about COVID, you know, I could like send him a message and be like, "Hey, hope you're doing well. Like, I guess the world is ending. Like, you know."
I guess the world is ending.
Yeah. But yeah, so we could still communicate that way. But like, yeah, I kind of felt those first couple months before it was like, will they restart the season? Won't they? I was like, I kind of feel like my personality is gone a little bit. But yeah.
That's awesome.
Then he signed with the Rangers. So
Right. Still
yeah.
close, but you know.
Sure, Kyle.
That,
I don't know the
right.
metrics. I don't
You
know the
know,
metrics. I don't know how close things are down there. I don't know.
you have no idea in like the history of the Devils how many guys have played for the Devils and then went to the Rangers only because it was close.
It is.
Do you know, like people, like Devils players live in Hoboken? They're like, well, I don't want to leave my cushy apartment in Hoboken, so I'll just sign with the Rangers and then just commute across the freaking bridge or the Lincoln Tunnel. Yeah, you slobs. Anyway,
Well,
sorry,
that's nice.
Steph. Nope, sorry. This is a Flames podcast. I
yeah.
don't want to get into it.
But I guess the equivalent would be like, you know, playing for the Flames and then going and signing with the Oilers, like that
Pretty much.
that level of pain. But yeah. I said to myself, because I was in college, I said, you know what? If I can suck it up, if I can cheer for the Rangers for 2 years, I can work in sports. Because at that point, I was really lost about like wanting to work in sports or not. And I was like, you know what? If I can put it aside, if I can cheer for the Rangers for 2 years, I'm confident when I graduate, I can work in sports because I could work for any team.
If I can cheer for a rival, I can do anything.
Yeah, honestly. So yeah, that's what I did. And the Rangers were really bad the first year. They missed the playoffs, but they had that whole Tom Wilson thing, so that was entertaining.
Oh God, yeah.
And then yeah, the next year they made the Eastern Conference Final, and he gave me a ticket to Game 7 when they beat the Penguins. So that was pretty cool experience. Kind of pains me as a Devils fan, but
right.
When else am I going to experience a Game 7? You know, so. And then he signed with the Flames, and that leads us to now.
Right. So then. Okay, so then he signed 2 years ago. This is his second year, I think, in Calgary, if I'm not mistaken.
This is his third, I think. I think it's easy to think second because of the shoulder last year, but
right. Okay, yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay, so this will be his third year. Okay. So he signs with Calgary. So then from there, I guess, were you like, well, I gotta reach the Flames now, I guess. You're just
so it's actually really funny, and I told him this too. The Saddle Dome has always been at the top of my list of arenas to visit. I'm trying to go to every arena, so of course I was sad when he signed with the Flames, but I was like, all right, my top arena, Like, I can go to all the other arenas on the East Coast, because when they come here, I was like, all right, like, I don't really want to stay up till midnight every night, but
That's the suffering of Eastern Coast fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, you West Coast people got it easy. You don't know how lucky you have it.
But yeah, so I like sent him a message. I was like, I'll still be rooting for you. I already have my tickets when you guys come to New Jersey. And that's when he gave me his number. So he said, text me if you come to the game. I know. Well, that's gonna be a mistake, but
whoa.
And the plot thickens.
Yeah, you just made the biggest mistake.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So then I guess the next time you saw him was when he played in New Jersey, right?
Yeah. So I kind of did a sweep. I did Jersey, I did Boston, which was fun because he's from Boston.
Okay.
I did Philly and I did DC that year. And then last year I suffered that Hurricanes game where they gave up 7 goals. I spent like 24 hours in Raleigh. That was like an impulsive trip. And then I did Jersey, the Rangers, and the Islanders.
Nice. Okay. So we do all those games, and then I guess we fast forward. So I'm guessing nothing happened between then and I guess this previous trip that you went on, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So then you go on the trip, which was recently. I guess when they played Edmonton, so that was like a month ago, right?
Well, yeah, it was. So I did. We did the home opener, and then a Wranglers game, and the Battle of Alberta game.
Nice. So you got a chance to meet him, I guess? Or?
Yeah. So he didn't like exactly invite me out. Me and my friend. Yeah.
Listen, I know you. I have your number now on. I got your Apple Maps on too. I know.
Exactly. I have your Apple Maps.
Yeah. So this.
That's so. He didn't invite us, but I just randomly found him at this place.
Okay, so me and my friend.
Chance to explain herself. Hold on.
Yeah. So me and my friend Jess, who I went with, she does Locked on Flames. She obviously wants to go to Calgary because she covers the team. And so last year we were like, all right, let's go to the Heritage Classic. Because I've always wanted to go to an outdoor game, and she wants to go to. I know the Heritage Classic was in Edmonton, but we were gonna do both anyway. But then her favorite player is Peltier, and mine is Kevin. So they both broke their shoulders, and so we were like, all right.
That's right.
And the tickets were like astronomical. So we were like, all right, forget about it. Maybe we can go another time. And then the year went on, and I said, all right, if Kevin signs an extension, we're going to the home opener.
Love it.
Like, okay, deal. Signed an extension on trade deadline day, which was crazy. When I saw that notification, I thought he was getting traded. But
right.
So we planned our trip, and I was like, all right, I'm going to tell him that we're coming. And I kept putting it off, and I kept putting it off. And because going back to that situation, the stalker situation, I always feel like I'm overstepping when I talk to him, because that's always like in the back of my mind, like, oh, well, people think this, and so I never want to like feel like I'm bothering him is the main thing. So he just had a baby over the summer, so I'm like, all right, he has a baby, I can't text him now. And then camp started, and I'm like, okay, I can't text him now, it's camp, like he's trying to make the team.
Sure.
Next thing you know, season's here. So I said, okay, they have these 2 off days, I'm getting on a plane this day, I'll text him at the airport, like, hey, just so you know, I'm going to be in town for the games this weekend. But the night before, JT Miller knocks him unconscious.
Yeah, I remember I was live, thought I went, frig, like, I felt so bad.
Yeah, so, the day before my flight, that happened.
And you're like, you're kidding me.
Yeah, so I was watching with my dad, and I start laughing at first because I think he's just going to get back up. He's been hit so many times. I'm like, all right, he's just going to get back up.
Sure.
Doesn't get back up. And my dad's now looking at me. He's giving me that look. Like,
you know what's happening.
Yeah, he's giving me that look. He's like, and so then I start like crying. Like, it's like, one, because I'm scared because they're bringing the stretcher out. I'm like, oh my, like, this is serious.
Oh yeah.
And second of all, I'm like, we planned this whole trip. And I didn't want to think too selfishly of it, like, oh, my trip's ruined now, because obviously he's laying on the ice. But I was like, oh my goodness, like this is our luck. So I've had a couple instances where I've had bad luck. It's just the nature of being the fan of a fourth liner. Like when I took that trip to DC, he got scratched like last minute. And none of the reporters tweeted it or anything. I found out at warm-ups that he wasn't playing.
Right.
And then like there was one time he gave me tickets to the Devils home opener, and then he got scratched. So it's like,
yeah.
But I was like, this is just our luck. This is just how that works out.
I'm a fourth liner.
Yeah.
The life of a fourth liner.
Yeah. Okay. So I flew out, and then I'm sitting in my hotel room. I'm like, all right, I just gotta bite the bullet. And I texted him like, hey, here for the games this weekend. Because I didn't know at that point if he was gonna play or not, if he was fine or whatever. Yeah. So he texted back. He's like, hey, yeah, I'm not playing this weekend, but I'll come by and I'll see you. Like, text me Saturday. I'll come by, see you guys in the first intermission. So
that's worth it.
Yeah, to me it was worth it. And the Saddle Dome, I love the Saddle Dome. We already planned a trip back.
Nice.
So I loved Calgary. I loved Banff. Like, I loved everything.
Oh, you went to Banff? Yeah. Oh my God, we have so much to talk about that. Long story short, myself and my dad, we're huge skiers, and we've probably been out there like 4 or 5 times now. So we're going back in February to ski again, and I'm going to force him to go watch another game this year. But yeah, that's like Neil, it's got to be on your bucket list too, man. It's like it's something you just have to do.
It was unbelievable.
I have a road trip that I'm already planning with a bunch of people. I'm going out to Nashville this year for Devils Predators.
That's awesome. That'll be sick.
And I may not come back in one piece. We'll see how that goes. I may just really have too much of a good time. I don't know. We'll see. Cool. I don't know. I'm also hoping to do Seattle in January, but we'll see. I'm still
nice. Hoping. Seattle would be cool.
Seattle's at the top of my bucket list personally. So
that's cool though that you guys did Banff. It's honestly it's so cool to see it though. It's a 10 out of 10 experience. And then you guys go obviously to the Saddle Dome. I have my own feelings about it just because like bathroom situation there because it's so old sucks.
Yeah. Kyle thinks it's a dump.
It's a bit of a dump, but it's whatever.
It's hard. I heard a lot of those comments while I was there. Yeah. They were like, but why? Why?
It's
your dump. That's like it's hard.
It's our dump, and we have.
It's like when the Islanders used to play in the Coliseum. Everybody thought it was a piece of garbage for like years.
Yeah.
But Islander fans are like, but this is our home.
This is our
exactly. Yeah. It's the same thing.
That's right.
It's the same vibe.
So then you go to the game and then you saw him at intermission, right?
Yeah. So
go ahead.
The way the Saddle Dome is, I'm sure like the press level up top is like super scary, and so he had to kind of like traverse down to the top of my section.
Yep.
And so I just went up the stairs, and it was actually really funny because I thought he was gonna be like walking around the concourse, and I'm like, you can't do that. Like I know he's the fourth liner, but I'm like, you're gonna be like, people are gonna be like all over you. So obviously I didn't know how the Saddle Dome was like structured. So he's like, I think I'm here. And so we're standing in the concourse, we're like looking around, we're like, where are you? And then he sent another text. He's like, I'm up top. So we go back into our section, and and he's just standing at the top of the section.
Nice.
Like looming over the section. I'm like, oh.
All right, I guess we'll make our way up now.
Yeah, I was like, yeah,
Jeez.
those stairs are killer.
Awesome. So we can confirm that Rooney was at the game, okay, and his head is good. It was on tack.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
So you
man is
go up.
alive.
That's right. So you go up and you meet him, obviously.
Yeah.
Was it just like a quick like, hey, how are you kind of thing? Like,
Yeah.
how'd it go?
Yeah, he's like, oh, how's your travel? Like, blah blah blah. And we asked how he
Small
was.
talk.
Yeah. We asked how he was, and he said, oh, the first day felt like a really bad hangover. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I was like, well, I hope you get better. Like, we'll just have to come back. And, we did plan our trip back. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And I made him, I made his wife a friendship bracelet. So I gave it to him. I was like, here you go, pass this along. But,
oh, you should have made one for the baby too.
I know. I was thinking of
That's
it.
cute.
But
That would have been a cute idea.
yeah, I'll just have to do that in February.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then so you guys make your way, and then I guess you guys drove up to Edmonton. He was not there in Edmonton?
No, I don't believe he's
Okay.
on the team now.
Okay, but you go up, you see the arena and all that, and then that was the whole trip, I guess.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I don't get a lot. Like I've literally met one player at like a car dealership for signings. Like this was James Clemmer back in like 2015 or whatever when he was like with the Leafs. It was awful. Right? Tall dude, but like yeah, no, but like to have like that kind of relationship like experience is really neat, right? And now it's like something that you can continue to cherish, and like hopefully he doesn't think that it's not creepy, but as long as you're not like you said, like as long as you're not kind of stepping over those boundaries though, like it's just
that's what I'm saying.
It's nice to have, right? Now you have that bit of a connection, and it's like, but also too, I think he really appreciates it because that he's obviously no top line winger, centerman, whatever, right? Like not super popular in the league. So to have somebody like you be like a super fan, I guess might be the way to put it, and to go like travel all the way out there just to see him, like it is appreciative at the end of the day, right? And it's a great way for him to like, he gets people that are like, and it's like reassurance for him almost, right? Like, oh, like wow, people are still watching me kind of thing, right? And it's like it gives him a bit of purpose still, right? So it's nice to still see that.
When he comes out to New Jersey, he'll still give like my friends a puck like at warm-ups, like
Nice.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny because I tell him that like I created a Rooney fan club because there's been a couple times where when he was with the Wranglers, there were a couple times where he would text me and he'd be like, hey, one of your friends like came up to me and said that they know you. And I was like, oh my gosh.
No, they use me.
Yeah, no. I'm like, I'm telling you, I just got the Rooney fan club everywhere. We're worldwide, so.
God. That's so cool. That's awesome
amazing.
though. That's a really cool story. That's awesome. Yeah. So I guess when you go out there in February, you're probably hoping that he is yet again playing.
I hope so. I don't know. The Kirkland story's heating up. There's going to be some competition.
I know, right? When that happens,
Kirkland's having a good one recently.
Yeah.
Doing well.
Can
we call him Captain Kirk, please? We just call him Captain Kirk.
They can't go back from the Costco thing now. They can't.
Fair enough. Yeah, you can't.
So yeah, I guess he's got some competition now, trying to come back. But I think he played recently, did he not? He played on
the other.
That's the only one I can think of recently.
Kevin played against Carolina.
Carolina. Okay.
He played about 8 minutes. Had a penalty, and that was about it, which is pretty much what you'd expect.
Oh, I think it was what was the penalty? Was it like a tripping penalty or something?
Yeah, it was a tripping call.
Okay, yeah, I remember that. That was like, yeah, he deserved that penalty. Sorry.
That's the thing. Awesome. I'm not like a person who, like, I know he's a fourth liner. Like, I don't sit here and like be like, he should be on the first line.
Yeah.
Like, this guy sucks. No. This guy sucks. He should. But
Neil has.
I feel like I'm very.
That before.
Wait, what'd you say?
Leave me alone.
Neil definitely hasn't said that he's before. Yeah. He'd never do that. Never.
But I talk about his strengths. I know his weaknesses. Like, he's a good penalty kill guy.
Yep.
I'd say he's like joke with him all the time about his face-offs, but I think he's a pretty decent face-off guy. He's getting better on the forecheck. I don't know, but
I think for somebody like him, I think it complements really well when he plays alongside a guy like Ryan Lomberg, right? Who has that bit of a bit of a pop to him, right? And maybe that kind of gets him going too. And I think I alluded to before with him. We might have talked about it in preseason, where if that's what he's really good at, that's what he's trying to convince Ryan Huska, like, you have to keep me around for this reason, because I am good at the penalty kill, right?
Yes.
And as long as he can kind of keep, even if that's the smallest thing out of the entire game, it's still a reason to try and keep him around. And I think that's why Huska needs him there.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead.
He still has a lot of speed too. So it's like, and that fourth line was filled with, him and then AHL guys like Coronado, like Peltier, like he can keep up with those guys, and he's 31, so I think in that regards too, like when the fourth line ends up being, when we didn't have Lomberg, we didn't have, like, Klapka wasn't an NHL regular, when the fourth line is constantly getting switched out, I think he can really play with anyone. He can adjust like on the fly, and so I think that's one of his positives as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a really cool story, though. Neil, I know I kind of interrupted most of the time. Did you have any questions or comments for it?
No, I mean, like I said, I was just sitting back and listening. Because I've known Steph for a while. Obviously, she's followed my podcast, which, Steph, that I appreciate it a lot. And it's just great to see, because, again, like you mentioned, Kyle, not a lot of the bottom six guys always get, a lot of love, a lot of notice. Unless you're on the Devils, they seem to really love the bottom six guys on our. I mean, this year you can't really complain with, two of your bottom six guys leading the team in points so far, i.e. Stefan Nason and Paul Cotter. But no, I think it's just great. And that was, Steph mentioned it, like the 2018 Devil. That was a really rough period where John Hines would be sticking like, no disrespect to Kevin Rooney, but like sticking him on the second line because we had literally nobody.
Right.
Or we had a bunch of injuries. And somebody shared it recently, like a lineup from like 2018 where we had like Steven Santini as our top right-handed defenseman. And like, to go for he was part of that really tough period. And, it's good to see that he's still finding his way to being able to be in the NHL and playing just in general, because I think the average amount of years an NHL player plays is something like 2 or 3 years. So for him to be in his early 30s and still being able to be a productive player, whether playing in the AHL or even in the bottom six in the NHL, I think just shows you that he does have some skill sets that make him an attractive player for organizations, not just the Devils, but obviously the Rangers for a couple of years, now with the Flames. By the way, this is year 3 for Kevin Rooney in Calgary. Just mentioned that. I was looking up all this stuff when you guys were talking. So by the way, Kevin Rooney's first NHL goal was October 26th of 2019, an 8-5 win in New Jersey over the Blackhawks.
Wow.
I don't remember when he scored that goal. A lot of the time I try to forget those type of. I think at that point in 2019, I was already done with the season after blowing a 4-goal lead in the home opener.
You're like, whatever.
I think I was in the still fire John Hines mode in that point. But no, it's great. And it's great, Steph, because I've seen a lot of the stuff you talk about, Kevin. It's great that you have that type of relationship with him. He's a really great guy, really great person. And it's awesome that you have that type of friendship with him, because not a lot of people could say that they have a close friendship with an NHL player at all.
Totally.
And I think that's really cool. Really, really cool. Do you have a Kevin Rooney Devils jersey?
I have 2.
You have 2. Okay, that checks out.
Okay.
That checks out. Have you worn either one of them to a Devils game recently?
Yeah, actually, I did. To the when the Devils played the Rangers in preseason, I wore it just because I thought it would be funny because he played.
What the heck, right? Exactly.
You gotta think about it. 20 years from now, if you show up to a game wearing a Rooney jersey, you'll probably get somebody on social media taking a picture of the back of the jersey and be like, "What the hell is this?"
Kyle, I have the Corey Schneider Devils jersey. I still have that.
Oh my God,
Corey Schneider is my Kevin Rooney. Low key. That's my guy. I will die on the hill that the Devils had elite goaltending when Corey Schneider was healthy. And Stef can
Jesus.
vouch for this because that was when we were hot garbage and he was the only thing worth watching.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
That's so cool. Do you
prime Corey Schneider on this Devils team? Holy smokes, would we be good?
do you have a favorite, like I guess minus the trip because then you met him and all that. Like, do you have another favorite like Kevin Rooney story that sticks out to you the most?
I don't know if I should tell this story.
Well, you can't say that. Not spilled beans.
It's in the past. It's fine.
Time to get in on it.
He asked me if he got protected from the Seattle expansion draft, as if I was some kind of NHL insider.
You're like, yeah, you're good.
So wait. Let me understand. Let me piece this together. So he asked you, a fan, a fan first and foremost, if he, which he would have known by now, if he got picked up in the expansion draft.
Well, sometimes leaks go out.
Yeah, Frank Saravalli every other day. How about that?
So
that draft was awful.
This was the day before the like protection lists came out. And so all day I was like tweeting, I'm like, oh, the Rangers better protect Kevin. The Rangers better protect Kevin. So that night I got a message from him that said, did I get protected? And I thought he was joking. I'm like, okay, he was reading my tweets. Like he's joking. Like he's making fun of the fact that I said, like, you know, they better protect him. But so I sent that back. I'm like, haha, very funny. And he said, no, like, I thought you would know. Yeah, he said, I thought you would know. And I said, why? Me?
What would you think I know?
I said, call your agent. Like, I don't. But
I'm on it.
Yeah. So the next morning, I remember I sent him Frank Saravalli's tweet of the list.
Oh, so then he's like,
so
okay,
like,
there's
here
my
you
source.
Go. Yeah.
Oh, that was like the funniest like draft because Kyle, this was before you joined the network. Like we did a live like watch along of the draft.
Yeah.
When we already knew who was on the list.
Oh yeah.
So, like we were sitting there, and this is when we were not as professional. Could give two rats, you know what? Like we already knew who was getting picked up. It was like, what's the point of watching? Why are we here right now doing this? Yeah. Because I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, this is actually ridiculous. And it was funny. And I did want to bring up one thing. Kyle, you'll appreciate this. And I'm sure Stef will as well. I had my own, like, really, really good, infatuation with a fourth liner. I was a huge fan of Ryan Carter when he was on the Devils, like, over a decade ago. When he was on the CVGV line with Steven Gianta and Bernier. And I actually got to interview him on my podcast, and I am the only one that has a Ryan Carter Devils jersey in their possession. So
that's sick.
If anybody can appreciate the love for a fourth liner, it's me. And that's what I love about the Kevin Rooney story. I don't have the relationship that you have, unfortunately, but at the same time, it really is great. It really is a great story, like 100%.
I think like the fun thing about being a fan of a fourth liner is that you don't have any expectations, so they just constantly exceed your expectations.
Exactly.
You could be a fan of a star and, say, oh, they're going to score 40 goals. And when they don't, you're like, oh, well,
no, it sucks.
If you're a fan of a fourth liner, they scored 5 goals. You're like,
what? When they score, it's like
when they score, period. Yeah.
It's what I get for being a fan of Alexander Holtz.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Well, I think two things I might keep my radar on now, because now watching games going forward, it's like, as a fan now, like, hence why I'm going to release the podcast, later today and clip it up and try to share the story a little bit. Right. It's nice to get like Flames fans, like, appreciative of those type of guys, and just to watch them a bit more and just to kind of watch their story. And like, that's something also too, like, that you want to cherish, because, like, to be fair, like, life of a fourth liner might not last too much longer. Who knows? He might have 1 more year. He might have 5 more years, right? We don't know, right? So I think it's just important, like, to cherish that kind of relationship for as long as you can, and then who knows from there, right? So that's good. And then I think it'd be really cool at some point to as the THPN manager as well. On top of this, it'd be kind of cool to like maybe get him on at the same time, and also have you on as well to just kind of chit chat and shoot the shit. That'd be really cool to have. Busy
just
man.
Tag him on this episode.
You know what? That's a great idea.
It'll work.
I might do that.
Yeah.
I might do that.
He did tell me he only has his Twitter screen time set at 15 minutes, so you might have to go over to Instagram for that.
Minutes. You know what?
That's a good thing for that. There's a setting for that now.
Wow. Yeah. It's like the parental.
Hey, I'm on Twitter like 40 hours a week. What?
Me too.
Time setting for this?
Look, it's my full-time job.
This is my full-time. What do you mean?
It's probably the parental setting that they have.
Yeah.
Like, you're in timeout now. You're done.
Everybody's 31 years old. He needs parental guidance.
Yeah, because
I told you it's a bad place over there. I had to release a statement about my trip. It's bad.
Kyle, you want to talk about bad Twitter? Go look at Devil's Twitter after a loss. Watch how bad it gets. Stef knows what I'm talking about. Watch how bad it gets. Everybody wants to fight one another and then want everyone on the team fired.
Season's over.
I had someone say after one game, I want Jesper Bratt off this team. And I'm like, I want you to just delete your account.
Go away.
And go away. So there you go.
Nice. That's cool. Yeah, we can probably wrap it up. But thanks for sharing the story, Stef. Appreciate it. Also, too, I wanted to give you a chance as well at the end of this to just kind of say any life developing news. I think I saw that you're an intern now for a team. So just wanted to give you the floor for that too.
So I currently work for TheSportyHer right now, which we're a media company focused on growing the sport of hockey for women. We're on a bit of a hiatus right now because our schedules just can't line up. But we do a podcast as well, and we try to post a lot of social content, kind of similar to Sports Girls Club, if you guys are familiar with that. And yeah, I just started on Saturday my internship with the Hudson Valley Venom, which are they're a hockey team in the Federal Prospect Hockey League. So it's a
that is one name I have never heard.
Yeah,
of. You've never heard of the FPHL?
The FPHL, I've never heard of
that. Kyle, you got to look up the amount of leagues, like junior leagues, that are in the United States. And I worked.
I can only imagine.
And I broadcasted for 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
The
FPHL just went viral because one of the teams are called the Rock Lobsters.
Yeah, the Rock Lobsters.
That's awesome.
And their intro is Peter Griffin singing Rock Lobster.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it be any different? But that's awesome, though. Okay.
Yeah, so, they're an expansion team. They just got into the league this year, so hoping I can.
For people.
Yeah. Hoping Saturday's game was like all away fans because they haven't really established their fan base yet. So
right. Okay.
I'm looking forward to kind of growing the team, and it's my community too. So the rink's like 30 minutes away.
Nice.
So,
yeah, that's great. Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing. Like, if I can give any sort of piece of advice, it's really to try to hone in and take advantage of that community that you're in, right?
Yeah.
And really target it towards that. And any sort of show that you guys do or anything like that, and make sure you hone in on that and bring people on and get the word of mouth out there. So that's awesome, though. That's exciting. So good for you, and congrats on that. Perfect.
Hat tricks. Sorry.
Okay, great.
I'm sorry. I know the owner of the hat tricks, so please don't yell at me.
I've seen a lot of videos from the Danbury team. That's so
funny. That's who we played on Saturday.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember the guy's name, but he's got the handlebar mustache, and he's been on YouTube a bit, and he's the tough guy, fights everybody on the team, and it's wild there. But yeah, appreciate you coming on, and anytime you want to come on and just chit chat, just let us know, and we'd be more than happy to have you back.
Sounds great, guys. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. That's it for us today. We'll be back. We'll be back Thursday, and we'll recap the games from tonight against the Golden Knights, and then on Wednesday when they play who they play on Wednesday. Oh my God, I'm blanking here. Who they play? I think they play the. Who do they play?
They play Utah.
Utah. Thank you.
Yes.
Oh my God.
And I definitely know who they play on Friday.
Yes.
Definitely know who they're playing
game on Friday too.
And I can confirm I will be up. I will actually be up for that game. Not for the reasons on this podcast, but still, I will be up.
Good night to Kevin Rooney for me.
It's gonna be a good one. Markstrom's
no, you'll be at the game anyway, right, Stef? Right? Friday?
No, they're in Calgary.
That's in Calgary, buddy.
Oh.
Kyle, before she jumped on, we talked about this.
I know we did. I know.
Because you were like, oh, we'll do the other game because when they go to New Jersey, it'll be a 7:00 game instead of 10, instead of 9 or whatever time it is.
You can still make it. It's only a flight away.
Don't get me started. Don't make me enter the first goal contest and accidentally win tickets and then
go check.
Yeah, that's. I don't want that.
You want to know some cheap airline flights? Let me know. I know my sources.
No, Howard's got the insight on, and it's Spirit Airlines, by the way. That's what he's talking about.
Oh man, Spirit Airlines. All day.
Spirit Airlines. Also, we have to remember that game between the Devils and Flames will be a big one because that'll be Markstrom's return, unless he doesn't play, which would be really questionable. If that didn't happen, but Markstrom's return to Calgary, what is that? Kevin Ball's first game back for not in Jersey, but
against the Devils.
I think it should be a good game.
I'm excited. So we'll make sure to preview that on Thursday, and yeah, Steph, if you're back out in Calgary in February, let me know. I'll probably be at the game too, depending on the game. I don't know what, but we'll figure it out. Thanks again for coming on, and yeah, we'll make sure to preview the games, guys, for you for Friday's game on Thursday, and let you know a recap from the games tonight.
I will be on this podcast on Thursday,
and he'll be back on Thursday.
I will be back. I'm not. I didn't leave for a week because I didn't want to do it anymore. I'm here. I've been watching. I've been paying attention, and Jonathan Huberdeau is actually surprisingly playing well.
Get into all that on Thursday. Thanks again, Steph, and we'll chat to everybody again on Thursday, and see you soon, and have a great week.